Hey y'all, today I'm going to talk about a topic that's a bit darker than my usual. Times throughout history when video games have turned to violence. No, not doom is making our kids go out and shoot up a school, but actual cases where video games have directly led to someone getting hurt or even killed. A lot of this footage and the descriptions of these events will be pretty graphic and quite horrible to watch, so if that bothers you, you should click off now. Our first case revolves around one of the world's most popular sports games, Madden NFL 19. On August 26, 2018, the Good Luck Have Fun video game bar was hosting a Madden tournament, open to the public with somewhere between 130 and 150 participants and onlookers mingling about the bar, all competing for that $5,000 grand prize. A gamer known as David Bread Katz had driven from his home in Baltimore some 11 hours to compete in this tournament, bringing little more than his clothes and, unbeknownst to the others, a cache of handguns. Bread had made a small name for himself in the Madden scene, known as a good player with a very strange affect. A few people who tried to make small talk with him at the tournament say he would say little or snap at them, mostly keeping to himself for the first day of the tournament. Bread did decently the first day, going 2-1 overall, losing to Dennis Evil Ken Alston, a fellow Madden pro from New Jersey. After the match, when Alston tried to shake his hand, Bread just stared at him and walked away. Come the second day of the tournament, Bread returned, hoping to win out through the day. The remaining players noticed that Bread hadn't changed his clothes, and he'd become even more withdrawn than before. The second day of the tournament, the rules would be a little different. They would be single elimination, and Bread's first game would be against Reginald Boogs Brown. Boogs took an initial lead, but Bread tied him in the second half before recovering the ball on a nice onside kick. Sadly, Bread was unable to do anything with his recovery and turned the ball back over to Boogs, who would score and win the game, eliminating Bread from the tournament. Without a word, Bread turned and walked out of the bar, leaving his controller behind. Boogs figured he was just upset, but 5 minutes later, Bread would re-enter the bar, point a laser-sighted pistol at Elijah Trueboy Clayton, who was playing in a featured game live on Twitch. Katz fired, hitting Clayton twice and killing him nearly instantly, all for a live audience to watch in horror. The video footage was quickly cut, but the viewers could listen to what came next. Katz turned his pistol towards Tony Montagnino. He was sitting with his back to him, at the bar. Katz shot him once, and he fell to the floor in shock. Katz then fired on the man to his right, Tim Anselmo, hitting him 3 times as he turned and ran out the door. Montagnino stumbled to his feet and made it outside to the patio before collapsing to the floor, noticing the body of another Madden pro, Taylor Robertson, slain seconds earlier in the chaos. Across the street, a group of EMTs were undergoing a training session. They rushed to the bar after hearing the shots, only to find that Bread had already shot himself, but not before leaving 2 others dead and 11 wounded. Bread had a history of mental illness, diagnosed with dysthymia and oppositional defiant disorder. Bread had also exhibited odd behavior for years. He had been in constant arguments with his mother regarding his video game addiction. When she would take his Xbox away to keep him from playing late into the night, she would find him wordlessly walking circles around the house for hours. Bread had found success in previous Madden tournaments, even winning a few, but was known for being especially odd. One commentator described getting anything out of him was like pulling teeth. Losing this tournament had sadly pushed Bread over the edge, and his fellow Madden pros would have to pay the price for this transgression. The next tragic case I'm going to talk about is legendary in the Counter-Strike scene. In 2010, a French gamer named Julien Barreaux challenged a man named Mikhail to a knife fight in Counter-Strike 1.6. Julien would lose, his character being stabbed to death by Mikhail's. The two had a short argument following the 1v1, and Julien disconnected from the server. Little did Mikhail know that Julien would spend the next 6 months scouring the internet for Mikhail, discovering that he lived only a few miles away in the nearby city of Cambrai. Julien drove to Mikhail's home, knocked on his door, and when he opened it, Julien plunged a knife into his chest, missing his heart by less than an inch, one police officer told the courts. Julien then fled, but was arrested within the hour by French authorities. Julien was sentenced to 2 years in jail, anger management therapy, and mandatory psychiatric exams. In my opinion, he got off light. He could have very easily killed Mikhail, and this wasn't some kind of crime of passion or rage. He sat and plotted on this for 6 months. This premeditation alone proves how demented Julien is, and I won't be surprised if we see his name in the news again for something similar. Our third and final case is that of Daniel Petric, taking place in the year 2007. A 16-year-old son of a Christian minister, Daniel wanted nothing more than to play his favorite game, Halo 3. His parents forbade it, claiming that such violent video games were unchristian, and that was the end of it for some time. Later in the year, Daniel would be injured in a snowboarding accident and contract staphylococcus, leaving him homebound. He would occasionally sneak out to a friend's house where he would play Halo 3, and his love for the game deepened. Eventually, Daniel snuck to a local game store and purchased Halo 3. Daniel became even more withdrawn at this point, sometimes playing the game for up to 18 hours a day, all in secret. Eventually, his mother discovered what he had done and told his father, who confiscated the game, locking it away in a safe along with a 9mm handgun. On October 20th, a week after the game was confiscated, Daniel would steal his father's safe key, open the safe, and take out not Halo 3, but the handgun. Walking up behind his parents, who were sitting on the couch, Daniel asked them to close their eyes for a surprise, and he opened fire, instantly killing his mother and severely wounding the father. Daniel took the gun and placed it in his father's hand, trying to mimic a murder-suicide. A few minutes after the shooting, Daniel's sister Heidi arrived at the house with her husband to watch a baseball game with their parents. Daniel tried to stop her from entering the house by claiming that their parents were fighting, but when Heidi heard her father call out for help, she stormed past Daniel and discovered what he had done. Heidi immediately called the police, but not before Daniel and his copy of Halo 3 fled in the family minivan. Police pursued Daniel and eventually were able to stop him with a roadblock. As the police pulled Daniel from the van, he tried to claim that his father had shot his mom and then himself. Daniel's father would recover, and Daniel's trial would carry out on December 15, 2008. Daniel's lawyer opted for a bench trial, meaning that there would be no jury, only the judge. His defense was that Daniel had become so addicted to the game, his reality had become warped by it, that he did not understand the finality of his actions. The judge obviously did not buy this, and sentenced Daniel to life in prison, with a chance for parole in 23 years. I personally agree with the judge. Daniel had a week to mull this over, and chose to murder his mother and nearly his father, instead of just wait until he turned 18, where he was able to convince his parents to let him play Halo 3. Thank you guys all for watching. I know this video has been quite dark and heavy, but I hope that you true crime fans did enjoy it. There's many more cases out there similar to these, many actually revolving around Halo 3, and I may make a series out of them if you guys liked what you saw here. As always, like and subscribe for more, and have a good one.